All right, good afternoon, councillors and staff, and our staff special guests up the rear of the room. Welcome to our July Ordinary Council meeting. Please be advised that this council meeting is being recorded and live streamed. By speaking at this meeting, you agree to being recorded and live streamed. Please ensure that if and when you speak, you are respectful to others and use appropriate language at all times. Gabon Council accepts no liability for any defamatory or offensive remarks or gestures made during the course of this meeting. The recording of this meeting will be made publicly available on Council's website. I'll call the first item, which is applications for leave of absence. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Rawson, seconded by Councillor Oldham. We have a full attendance, so therefore no apologies. I'll put that. All those in favour? Aye. Against? That's carried. Item 2 is declarations of interest. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Nash. Does anybody have anything to declare? Nothing at all. Very good. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 3 is declaration for political donations. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Jones. Does anybody have anything to declare? Nothing to declare. Thank you, everybody. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Well, just suspend our ordinary meeting to do a special presentation to our invited guests at the rear of the room. Very important people, the Gabon Council. So, in a moment, I'll call these very special people up for them to a certificate for their achievements. The following staff members have recently completed their Certificate 3 in Civil Construction. Signature learning was the registered training organisation, and it was fully funded training, which is great. The staff that have completed and are receiving their certificates today have subjects that were aimed at planning operations and supervision of staff. It will assist them to progress further in the infrastructure sector while providing leadership skills and technical proficiency. So well done, gentlemen, for doing that course, and I'm sure you'll put it to great use. So no particular order, first up, Darren Taylor. Carl Bostock. Rodney Taylor.
These four gentlemen that pretty much hold me our way together, and they have been for the last 18 months, if not longer. They see the best and worst of it, and it's just great to have them stepping up and doing some extra polls as well. They get fulfilled the post, and without all you guys, really appreciate it. Coming today and doing things. Well done, gents.
Can I say something? If I can just say something, Mr Mayor, I didn't realise that this was happening today, but I intended to make mention of the road between Canowindra and Kewdale that's been very well patched. and I was going to thank the workmen. So I thank you fellows for the job you've done, and please pass on to the other workers. It's been appreciated, at least by me, and I would imagine a whole heap of other people. Thank you.
Well said, Jenny. In fact, I've heard that from a number of people from Canowindra over the last week about the road, and one of them being our audit chairperson. So, yeah.
Keep her happy.
Yeah. Yeah, so thanks, gentlemen. All right. Item 4 is the mayoral minute of appointment. I'll move that, and I have tabled a report, and so has Councillor Rawson that I know of. Has anybody else got anything for the mayoral minute of appointment? Councillor Jones has tabled a report. Thank you. Councillor Nash tabled a very good report on the women's
Yes.
conference.
Sister.
Councillor Weaver.
I am going to give the girls a report, but I'd just like to bring to Council's notice the 100-year celebration of the hospital at Canowindra. A huge success on the Saturday night, over 160 odd people in attendance at the dinner dance, which went very, very well. And the football on Friday night last, I think the Mayor played a very political role, or non-political role, in stating that rugby was the winner. So,
I say,
thank you.
can I add to that? The lights were really good.
Yeah, the lights are great.
From a Canowindra perspective, great lights.
No, very good. They were excellent. We won't talk about that. All right. There's nothing further. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 5 is the committee of the whole meeting. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Nash. Does anybody wish to call any items into the committee of the whole? Councillor Weaver first.
I'd like to bring up items 8 and 9.
Weaver, 8 and 9. All right. I think procedurally 8 is already a part of the committee of the whole anyway. But if you want to defer it to then, we'll do that first in the committee of the whole. I'm happy with that. Does anybody else wish to call out? Councillor Nash.
Yeah, item 12, thanks, Mr Mayor.
Item 12, which is the unspent expenditure. Yep. Thank you. Anything else? No? Everybody else happy? All right. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 6 is the confirmation of the minutes for the previous meeting. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Rawson. Everybody okay with the minutes from the previous meeting? All right. Yep, I'll put that. Well, true, you can't. You weren't there. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 7 is confirmation of the committee meeting minutes of our 2 committees. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Batten, seconded by Councillor Poole. Everybody happy with those minutes? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 8 and 9 is in committee of the whole. Item 10 is the 2022 Local Government New South Wales Annual Conference. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Oldham, seconded by Councillor Weaver. And as per the recommendation, we need to nominate up to 4 observers who wish to attend that conference. So, could I have some nominations for that?
Yeah, I'd like to attend if possible.
Yep, thanks. Councillor Poole, yeah.
I've got concerns with something, so I'm not sure. I can ask when she's back, but I'm
Well, what do you want to, if you want to nominate Councillor
and then I'll confirm when.
Orion, and if you have to, we'll put somebody on the reserve bench. How's that? So Councillor Orion, yeah. Councillor Batten?
Yeah, I'm happy to attend, Mr Mayor. I haven't been since the first one, so it's probably time to refresh my memory.
Thank you. That's three. Councillor Jones? Or?
I'm happy to go on this three, and that way I can go to see that.
Councillor Weaver, what about you? No?
At this point, as you know, I have trouble getting around, so
I understand completely.
there's stairs involved in this.
Yeah, all right, no problem, happy.
So I indicate my non-attendance, my non-availability, so.
Thanks, Councillor Rawson. So, Councillor Jones? All right, and we have Councillor Oldham on the reserve bench. All right, done. All right, that's sorted. Thank you, everybody.
Can I put my name down too?
Yeah. Yep. You happy to? Yeah. All right.
Let's go.
How's it going?
Okay, so we're oversubscribed.
So as a priority, we've got Councillor Poole, Councillor Orion, Councillor Batten, Councillor Weaver. Is that correct? And then on the reserve bench, Councillor Oldham and yourself. Yep. All good? Right. Okay. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Thank you, everybody. Item 11 is the Integrated Planning and Reporting Operation Plan final half-yearly report. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Batten, second by Councillor Weaver. Would you like to speak to that, Councillor Batten, at all?
Maybe just a bit of an overview from the GM. Perhaps just a bit of an overview from the general manager. I mean, there's a fair bit of green lighting, which is pretty good to see, and obviously a few orange lights, which I would expect, particularly outside stuff, going to be associated with weather. But are there any issues that we need to be aware of?
General Manager.
Yes, through you, Mr Mayor. Obviously, that's the wrap up, I suppose, of the delivery program passed. There is a number of items which we're finalising our financial statements as we speak about where we've ended up with our capital, which again has been hugely challenging, and there will be significant, I suppose, pushing of projects. Unfortunately, again, I think the DGM Infrastructure passed comment the other day that it's approximately almost a third of our operational days were taken out with weather. But look, it's been good to get that, I suppose, that delivery program wrapping that up. Now we move into the next phase, which is this council's delivery program, and the reporting on that will be 6 monthly as far as the delivery program goes, and internally we'll be reporting on the operational plan. Isn't that right? So the report's there. It does highlight where we've got to, but there's no significant one, except for a lot of those, like I said, those, unfortunately, we've had these problems. There's no bigger project than the one over the road, which we hope to fit in this delivery program, but due to forces beyond our control. And we're not Robinson Crusoe as a council. A lot of councils are struggling to get that final that delivery done in this year in the context of what everyone else must be picking up on the news when you've got contractors involved, materials and all those sorts of things. That's all I'll comment this week.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, Councillor Nash.
In the final half-yearly review, on page 22, 3.32.2C, it's about the Manildra Library. It just says there that unable to progress as no suitable facilities available. I believe it was the lease of the current facility that was the reason. And also extending the hours has not even been really looked at. And I just don't like to see the red light there, because maybe in the years to come something can be done to get them into a much better premises than what they are at the moment. And I would like to see especially the extension of the hours of whether it's a Trundle thing that they used to do, or whether it's Tullamore or whoever, where they come in, have their own sign-in and things like that, something to be done. And I'd just like to take the red light off it and have it still on the books, please.
Councillor, yes, that you're talking about a 24-hour, potentially a 24-hour library, which I believe Trundle has, and a few other. We can investigate that. Is that right, Heather? We're able to investigate that through community services.
Through you, Mr Chair, and Councillor Nash, I think you'll recall Rosalind Cousins addressing Council last year as the incoming Central West Libraries, and she indicated her support for looking at the opportunities for Manildra, so it's certainly not off the tables at all. It's part of the Central West Libraries program, which we have input into. And I think even in the libraries audit recently, of which Councillor Oldham was at, again, I think it was quite clear from that audit that there are lots of opportunities for the 3 libraries in Gabon moving forward in the way that's being addressed. This one is that particular funds for that particular use. It's the end of the road for that. The building that was suggested isn't available and was less than the minimum area set aside for libraries, but that doesn't mean that's the end of looking at the program for Manildra. An extension of hours to all 3 facilities is something that's still very much being pursued. Thank you.
Thank you.
Also, I'd like to bring up the 3.2.3b, health services. Health services in Molang, there's been numerous complaints of not being able to get the meeting answered on the phone. And if answered, the outcome is not usually that good. I don't know whether we can do anything to check on Health One and see what is actually going on, because people just cannot get them on the phone, and they're not that happy with the result sometimes neither. So I just thought I'd bring that up.
Only through my own knowledge, I think that the comment I placed there is that being able to get them on the telephone is the fact that they are extremely busy. I've been up there when the phone's running and they're already on the phone. So the phone continues to ring out and goes to a message service. And as far as probably, you're referring to probably them trying to get appointments to see the doctors. I think that just in the last 2 months, I know that I've had my appointments pushed over because one of the doctors was involved in a car accident and was off work, and another one of them had COVID, and the other one had the flu, and I think it's just the combination of all of that sort of thing that's caused the issue there that I know of.
Yes, Mr Mayor, I realise that, but this has been going on for quite a while, and there's been lots and lots of complaints to me about the service. So, you know, it's a great facility. We want to make sure that it doesn't go down in people's estimation of what they need.
Yeah. All right. I guess point noted, and we can make some inquiries about any issues they may have. All right. Anything further? All right. I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 13 we jump to now is the Audit, Risk and Improvement Committee Terms of Reference. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Batten. Any discussion on that at all? Place comment that we have had 2 meetings so far and a very enthusiastic and very keen team. Thorough, very thorough. All right.
Very comprehensive.
All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 14 is the policy register review by council within 12 months of election. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Rawson. Just to place comment on that, this probably item I've been told will probably be a regular in our meetings for a while. We're just going, the staff are going through different policies within that month, and we'll present them to council on the review process or the which is a good idea. I think we don't have to consume every policy in one hit. Would be very, very good, I would suggest. So, does anybody have any comment on item 14? Councillor Rawson.
Oh, really, perhaps not so much specifically on item 14, but the policy that we voted on last meeting about the delegation to Central Tablelands Water, it still appears on the website. So when I was going through the list of policies for this particular item, that was still sitting there on the website. And also begs the question whether or not we have to have an alternative policy to actually have somebody on the Central Tablelands Water, or is that's just a given anyway? Yeah, the policy was really about being a consumer, wasn't it?
Through you, Mr Mayor. So the policy, yeah, we've probably got to get on and just take that off the website. But the secondary question, obviously we're effectively part owners of Central Tablelands Water, so it's not really, it's sort of probably a bit over the OTT. Having also a policy saying we have someone on there, because it's part of the governance structure that we've got to have someone, 2 members on that process. So.
Or anything further there? Nope. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 15 is a request for donation, development application fees paid 2021-22. Oh no, sorry, 2021/221 and 2021-222. Moved by Councillor Weaver, second by Councillor Poole, with encouragement from Councillor Jones. Any comment apart from very good? All happy? Yep. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 16 is questions for next meeting. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Jones. Does anybody have any questions for the next meeting? Councillor Poole.
Yes, so with what was once planned as a retirement village or the independent living in Canowindra, where we voted to have, or to recommend the new health one, is there a plan going forward so for an alternative spot for 15 units, which I think was in the initial plan, or have we got, as the council, got a plan, or?
Through you, Mr Mayor. So specifically we haven't got I suppose a contingency plan. The original plan, which is part of still our delivery program, is to investigate and try to establish an age-friendly living centre on that Canowindra site. That stays as is at the moment. There is notional possibility of opening up other land which we don't own, which is a part of the state rail, which the Mayor's indicated, I think, in the past as potential, but we're not explicitly investigating that at this time until we basically finalise what we're doing with the current proposal. We haven't moved on to a next phase, and that would be a question for council of what's our intent as far as strategy goes with the aged friendly living, because So essentially that project arose out of obviously the committee's aspirations, supported by council, supported by Uniting Church, but as an organisation that provides that facility, they have now left the field, so to speak. So it's a case of, is council still going to continue on in that way of looking to provide that sort of residential environment for certain people in Canowindra as compared to many other areas, etc. Once that block of land is determined, we have to make a decision about what we're doing. But it's not at this stage till we find out that we haven't put resources into going to another area, which would take a bit of time to explore, and considering we don't even own the land at this point. So I suppose if you're preempting wanting to know what we're going to do if we don't proceed on the Canowindra aged living land, what's our next phase, I would suggest that we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But if council wants us to go investigating that from now, I'm in the hands of council.
Did you just say, Mr. GM, that we don't own that land? I thought we did own that land.
Sorry, councillor. Yeah, we own that land, but any other land further along or up the road in that precinct, if you like, is still subject to the rail, UGL, all those sorts of things.
Yeah, I guess my question is aimed at, is there an intent to progress, or was there a contingency if the health fund's built there? Only because I know the committee was well over 20 years and trying to get something built, and I know they had the hiccup with Uniting, but as I've sort of mentioned to the committee, there are other ways, there are businesses that do this for a living that can bring money to the table. They want to make money, but they bring money to the table. It shouldn't be just up to council if we could make an introduction, but yeah, I guess my question, was there a contingency for down the track, or have we got a plan that we can discuss as the question for the next meeting, for down the track?
Yeah, through you, Mr. Mayor. So I suppose a shorter answer is, at the moment, we've still got in the current design put before New South Wales Health, it caters for up to 4 age-friendly living if they were to go to that site, which is council owned down in the CBD area. So that's still afoot. There's still the 2 sites. So if that was to be selected, then obviously that then brings into play that the council will then explore how we're going to provide those 4 on that site. If it's not chosen, and then the selection goes to the hospital site, well, that land, then council has to then make a decision what to do with the land. Firstly, the land and the aspirations of the committee, and how we bring that about, because the old provision is now off the table of with the Uniting, etc. So that's when we bring it. Once that decision is made, then we obviously try to work out a strategy with a workshop, consult with the committee, and bring to council an options paper of what we do with that notion of the project once we know one way or the other. I suppose by doing that work now may be wasted work, given that I don't think that decision is too far off by the state, but certainly, obviously, that's definitely what we've got to do as soon as we find out which way that falls, if that makes you clearer. Happy? Happy? Yep. It will be a future report. Yeah.
Any further questions for next meeting?
I have one, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Nash.
I just was speaking to Councillor Oldham earlier, and the Acquisitive Art Prize is sort of here and gone and over before we sort of, I don't know. I just want to know, can we have an extended time on that, and can the council as a whole be more involved, please?
Well, I think there is going to be some discussion after the ordinary meeting here with the committee as it stands, being Councillor Oldham and Councillor Batten. and Councillor O'Ryan has sort of been encouraged to be on part of that committee as well. So, about the whole structure and where we head to into the future. So if you would like to stay behind, or anybody would like to stay behind to discuss that, they're more than welcome.
Thank you.
Any further questions for next meeting? No? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 17 is business paper items for noting. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Nash, seconded by Councillor Batten. Does anybody wish to call out any of the items for noting at all for discussion? Councillor Nash.
Yeah, page 6, 1.21A. It's lobbying for telecommunications. I just want to remind everyone that Cargo has very poor reception. If we can do a bit of lobbying for them, it'd be great.
What item number is that?
Page 6, 1.21A.
Page 6.
I get very lost in that.
Well, it might be in another previous minutes, is it? Somewhere there.
At the end.
Development application, rates, event summary.
Right down, it's got notations written in front of it.
What was it again?
Telecommunications, there's a report on it. I just want to remind us of Cargo.
Operational plan. Rebecca's nodding her head yes. It's in the operational plan.
Oh, well, we know where I am.
Anyway, it's noted.
Thank you.
Councillor Batten.
Item 10, the DA. Well, President. Item 10, the development applications. A question for the Deputy General Manager through you, Mr Mayor. That looks like a pretty healthy sum of development applications for combined. How does it compare to, say, previous years, similar months, or is it not relevant to do that sort of comparison?
Through you, Mr Chair. So, Councillor Batten, you're inquiring about the trend for incoming development applications.
Yes.
Basically, the last 2 years, since COVID, there's been an increase in development applications. So for the 10 years prior to that, we were sitting around 194 DAs per year coming in. That's just development applications. That doesn't include construction certificates or applying development or any of the other bits that go into that development team. The last 2 years, we've seen an increase. So we work on a financial year for our reporting. So in the past financial year, we had, I think it was 254 DAs. The year before was 290. So we have gone up in the last 2 years. That doesn't sort of give you the breakdown of what type of DA. So particularly in that first year of COVID, we were seeing quite a lot of, I think, people from home, a lot of alts and ads for dwellings, sheds in backyards, so small scale stuff. Now we're seeing a move to a bit of an emergence and a bit of a marked increase in investment in the economy, and we're seeing some bigger scale developments coming through with some investment into industrial land, warehouses, and subdivisions are on the pickup as well. So we were very steady for about 10 years, sitting at that 194 DAs per year, and there has been quite a significant increase in the last 2 years, but despite being the first year of the COVID outbreak, we're still sitting at least 60 DAs above the previous average.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I would note though that you would be aware that our resourcing has not commensurately increased, which does cause a bit of a problem, and if anything it's gone down. So yeah, unfortunately you see the next report that the times are slowed up, but still comparative to a lot of neighbouring councils, etc., we're still going pretty well, but they've got a bit on.
A comment we'd make that they're still at an acceptable level. I mean, sort of 48, 50 days is not unreasonable, especially if I think we can explain that to the individuals.
Yeah, correct. You're all right. Unfortunately, some people want them a bit quicker than that. Or anything, what do you wish to, Councillor Ross?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. No, just a quick one on item 2, the emissions reduction plan,
Yep.
which came to committee so that members of the other committee may not have seen it. It's actually quite a good report, and basically breaks down all of our emissions into various chunks, of which the largest chunk is our landfills, contributing the most by considerable margin. I just wanted to note that this is just a draft report, and I think there's still, we're still able to provide feedback. That's what's mentioned here, that feedback can go back before it comes back to council. So if anyone wishes to read through that in detail and provide feedback, I suggest they do, because it's quite good. It's quite a good document.
All right, thank you. Anybody wish to call out any other items for noting? Nope.
Oh, sorry, next one. Sorry. Thank you, Mr Mayor. I was just, again, a very quick question. I noticed there's a list of upcoming events there that are to be funded via this events program, which is a large amount of money. Presumably we still haven't got that money, is that correct? No? And what's happening to those events if we don't have that money?
Through you, Mr Mayor, I might have to default to my leader of community and economy if she can come and get within range.
Through you, Mr Mayor. Councillor, we're due to hear about the funding for those projects very shortly. We should hear by the end of this week or early next week.
So some of those events will still happen anyway?
We will
presumably?
proceed as per the event schedule regardless.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Rebecca. Anything further? Any other items for noting? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 18 is matters of urgency. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Jones, seconded by Councillor Nash. I didn't know whether that was a scratch or a second then.
Was a scrap, I think.
Does anybody have any matters of urgency? No? All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That is carried. Item 19 is the Committee of the Whole section of the meeting. Could I have somebody move that we move into Committee of the Whole, please? Councillor Rawson, thank you. Seconded by Councillor Jones, thank you. All those in favour of us moving into the Committee of the Whole? Against? Carried. So the first item was item 8, which is the mayoral minute regarding the Red Fleet, which I'll get to that here, which reads mayoral minute accounting treatment for rural fire services Red Fleet assets. So that's been moved by me as a mayoral minute. So Councillor Weaver, yeah, you asked for committee of the whole, so you can lead.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I totally agree with supporting this recommendation. I was astounded, I have to say, when I read through and fully understood what it meant. I mean, we'd be looking at up to or better than $5 million to take over as they want us to do. And I think that's so unfair on councils, absolutely so unfair. They support the SES and they support brigades, fire brigades in towns and suburbs and so forth. This was part of their setup, and then all of a sudden they want councils to take it over. I just don't understand why it's happening, and I think and I believe that we supply the sheds that house the equipment, and that should be our obligation. So that's my concern.
Yeah, no, thank you, well said. It's something that's a concern for all councils, and it's raised in lots of forums that I attend. And just to clarify, it's talking about not the purchase of the asset, it's talking about the depreciation of the asset. So, and as I've pointed out to and had discussions with a number of people about this, well, what you said is exactly right. It's the ultimate cost shifting by the government back to local government for this depreciation. And these assets are of the Red Fleet, we have no control over when they renew them, when they replace them, if they renew them at all, but yet they want to shift the asset to our depreciation list, you know, so.
If I might just add, the minute a vehicle is delivered to a fire brigade station, it's depreciated. So, you know, I think they've got.
Yeah, thank you. Any further discussion? Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Yes, I would also like to wholeheartedly support the mayoral minute, and would like to add that Councillor Batten and I recently went to a meeting with the RFS. I was as part of our delegation to that committee. In fact, you're the chair of that committee, the liaison committee, and in that a spreadsheet was presented of all the assets across all of the Canopolis zone, so all broken down by council area. Cabonne Council had by far the largest number of assets, and so we are quite considerably more disadvantaged by this particular idea, and I think that should be mentioned in your letter, so that our particular disadvantage in this region. That's the first point I'd like to make. The second one, I guess, is also it looks like about half the councils in New South Wales have gone down the route of depreciating or putting it on their books. I'd like to ask the General Manager, through you, Mr Mayor, if he knows of why or how they've done that. What is the mechanism that they've been able to do that, and why they have done that, whereas half the councils like us are against it? Is it a rural city thing, division, or is it something else?
Through you, Mr Mayor, I'll try and answer it. Obviously, I can't go into the minds of other councils, but generally, my understanding, I've codified with that, is that some councils, obviously, it isn't as big an impact, so it might not have been such a consequential decision when it was made. I am aware that other councils previously, we're quite late in this being formed as an issue, and it may or may not have been due to our shared nature with the Canopolis zone. Other councils had to confront this much earlier with auditors picking up on it, and it's always been a contentious issue, but it's coming to a head. Some councils dealt with it, I believe, I've always codified I believe, by way of there was a use of a policy. So if council actually had a policy in place not recognising the Red Fleet, the auditors, I believe, accepted that for a period of being okay. But now the Auditor General has basically made a call, which now leaves, I think, 60 odd councils, according to the LG New South Wales, of councils who are saying, well, we don't agree with that call. Of that, I don't know how many might be trying to basically maybe recognising it and wanting to unrecognise. That could well be going on as well. I'm not clear on that, councillor. But so there's a number of different reasons, different appetites. You know, it might have been an advising of the auditor, which the council just decided to accept unilaterally without necessarily thinking about this down the track, or without that much support around about that decision. So there could be any number of reasons for the different approaches, but we're pretty solid, as the Mayor said, there's a considerable portion of rural councils now wanting to basically ensure that if the Auditor General's decision is being made, that we don't support it, and the OLG needs to sort of confront the issue, I would suggest.
Councillor Nash.
I was just wondering, instead of writing to the Honourable Phil Donato, could we invite him to come to our next workshop or something? Because he hasn't been here for a while, and maybe you might be better off face to face talking to him about this.
I think, when is he due? Do you have any idea in the calendar? No. Yeah, look, we'll make inquiries with that, Councillor Nash, yeah, for sure. Because as you said, he is due to come and address council, so that could be quite timely. Jolene thinks November, this stage. But anyway, we'll make some inquiries. Any further discussion on item 8? No? All right, well, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Item 9 is the Auditor General's report, rural firefighting equipment, called by Councillor Weaver, so I'd say you'll move that, Councillor Weaver? Yep, seconded by Councillor Batten. Thank you. So over to you, Councillor Weaver.
Well, Mr Mayor, this is along the same lines. Mr Mayor, this is along the same lines as the previous item. I find it incredible that the Auditor General's department would put us to this. You know, I don't understand why they're actually doing it. I've actually spoken to Councillor Batten about it, and I'm no wiser in understanding why they are even attempting to do this to us. You know, councils in the rural areas suffer enough and have got enough on their plates without throwing this one at us too.
It's just another one. Councillor Batten.
Yeah, if I can speak in support of Councillor Weaver's comments, and I refer you to the paragraph actually in the report from the General Manager. It says, the financial statements of New South Wales Total State Sector and New South Wales Rural Fire Service do not include these assets as the status of the view that rural firefighting equipment that's been vested to councils under the Rural Fires Act 1997 is not controlled by the state. Daria Turley, in her recent Local Government New South Wales newsletter, described this process and this recommendation as farcical. And in my view, that's exactly what it is. I mean, the whole way that this is managed, you've got a state bureaucracy in the Rural Fire Service. They have a headquarters at Homebush, right? Control and command centre at Homebush. They have, and I should say we, because I'm a member of the Rural Fire Service. We have a volunteer firefighting teams right across the state, supported by very, very adequate, competent, capable zones. In the last 12 months, the organisation has spent their time going through a ridiculous restructure that's actually added another level of bureaucracy. Now this thing in terms of the trucks, currently the delivery time for the tankers, the trucks, is about 3 years behind schedule. Now, obviously, what's most likely to happen, they'll blame it on COVID. It's not the case. It's been like that for years and it's getting worse. There's $3.76 million allocated in the state budget to tankers. Councils have no control over where that money gets allocated. What happens is that a brigade, according to a schedule at a central level, gets allocated a truck. And that's also impacted then by politics, because quite often what happens is that particularly coastal areas get a new truck, and the aged trucks then get transferred west of the mountains. Now, Eugowra, for example, is to get a Category 7, which is a small truck. We have no input whatsoever into whether Eugowra gets it, whether Cumnock gets it, whether Garra, my little brigade, gets it. None whatsoever. So it's ridiculous to say that council should take responsibility for this. When the trucks are sold, councils get about 11.5% of the sale of the trucks. 11.5% of the total sale of the trucks. The rest of it goes back to consolidated revenue. I mean, if that is not a state bureaucracy who should take responsibility for the asset and depreciate it, what is it? I mean, that's just, in my view, just absurd.
Thank you. Councillor Rawson.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Well, I can only reiterate comments from Councillor Patton and Councillor Weaver. I think it's important to recognise what's at play here. It's not the land that's involved, because we already have the land, and also the sheds, presumably, which are depreciated, presumably already. So we're talking about the asset, as in the firefighting assets, the equipment that's used, the tankers in particular, that sort of equipment is what's involved. Well, I think that what we could be doing, if we're forced into doing this, is suggesting to the Auditor General and the relevant minister that we will charge rent or plant hire for plant and equipment that belongs to us. If they say it belongs to us and we have to depreciate it, then we will hire it out at a fee that covers the cost of our depreciation. That should be the message back to the state government, that is what we would do. Well, if they say that it's our plant and equipment, well, we'll hire it out. The only people we can hire it. Well, actually, no, we don't have to hire it out to the RFS, because there are private firefighting agencies. Did you know? The Forestry Corporation already has private firefighters. We could hire it out to them. It's not so silly.
All right, gentlemen, how do we set up that hire agreement?
In the words of Sir Humphrey,
This is how ridiculous this is.
in the words of
Even
Sir
for
Humphrey,
me to
Mr Mayor,
suggest such a
very
thing is
brave
so
decision.
ridiculous.
Very brave decision, councillor. Yeah, look, I understand the sentiment. I think at the moment we're probably the best process is to stick with the 60 other councils and work as a group. I'm sure there'd be scope for some inventive ideas. I suppose the only thing we certainly don't want this issue to be misconstrued, which I'm sure is not Councillor Rawson's or this council's intent, that we are more than happy to support the Rural Fire Service as much as we practically can. And this is more a fundamental, as the Mayor points out, a cost-shifting measure that needs to be addressed. You know, we could also talk about we also pay depreciation on the buildings, and some of those aren't on our land, by the way, too. Sometimes they're on farmers' land and Crown and all sorts of things. So there could be quite technical of whether that has to go to the Crown anyway by other means, but we won't get into that. But look, I do take on board your point, and I've already spoken to our external auditors, etc. I'm sure we're not going to be alone in this, but the risk to council at this point for non-compliance is unknown, and the OLG will make that clear. There has been some discussion around whether T-Corp loans would be therefore unable to be accessed due to your statements being qualified. We don't know, but we're following, obviously, with close support and advice by LG New South Wales country mayors on this process.
Councillor Rawson first.
Thank you. Look, I just wanted to reiterate and draw everyone's attention back to the previous mayoral minute. The point that you made in that about our continuing support of RFS. This is absolute. Even my crazy suggestion was not in any way targeting the RFS. It's very much targeting the state government, and of course we would continue to support the RFS.
Councillor Nash.
I would just like to say it was like when they came to try and amalgamate us, you know, there's strength in numbers, so we've got to stand firm with the other councils.
Yeah, exactly. All right, any further comment or hiring suggestions? No? No? All good? All right, I'll put that All in favour? Against, carried. Very well done, everybody. Item 12 is the unspent expenditure reverted to 2022-23 budget, moved by councillor Nash, seconded by councillor O'Ryan. Over to you, councillor Nash.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. All I want is a bit of clarification on the unable to secure plant, and are we still going for it, or what's the go there?
Thank you, Charlie.
Thank you, councillor. Through you, Mr Mayor, COVID. Sorry, there's not much more we can say. It's a difficult time.
Are you still going for those?
Yes, sorry, the intention is to continue to procure.
It's literally, councillor, the slow boat from China is almost an exact truism at the moment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions on item 12? Yep, okay, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against, that's carried. Or I'll draw your attention now to the late items. Items 20 and then 21 respectively. I'll just call item 20 first. Everybody with me? Yep. So item 20 is Cabonne Council Roads Advisory Committee. Can I have a mover, please? Moved by councillor Rawson, seconded by councillor Jones. If you recall last meeting, I asked to defer the decision on the council representative on both of these committees, and jogged the general manager's memory the other day about these. Just a reminder, if you wish to nominate or be an alternate, just a reminder to everybody that everybody is welcome at these committees. So whenever these committees are on, any councillor can attend them. So this doesn't stop, if you're nominated, it doesn't stop you from attending any of these committee meetings. The only difference is that you don't have a vote, that's all. So it would only be, in the case of these two committee meetings, the mayor has a vote and the councillor representing has the vote, or the alternate. So, but anybody is welcome. Just reinforce that to everybody and remind everybody. So item 20 has been called, so call for now for nominations for a council representative and an alternate for the Council's Roads Advisory Committee. Councillor Jones.
I'll nominate Councillor Batten.
I'll second that.
All right, nomination for Councillor Batten moved and seconded. Councillor Batten, do you wish to be considered as the representative?
Oh, we're happy to do the rep or the alternate. You had interesting as well. I'm interested in both.
All right, so if that's, Councillor Paul,
Yeah, I'll nominate Andrew.
Right, so amongst the two of you, who would like to be the representative and or alternate, unless there's anybody else wants to be on the committee? Okay, we've sorted that out. So nomination is Councillor Rawson as the representative and alternate Councillor Batten. Does anybody else wish to nominate? All happy? All good? All everybody's happy? Right. All right, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? That's carried. Well done, everybody. And item 21 is the Cabonne Floodplain Management Advisory Committee. Could I have a mover, please? Moved by Councillor Weaver, seconded by Councillor Jones. And once again, same applies to this committee. Anybody can go, but we just need a nominator.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Weaver, so we got a Canowindra representative.
Weaver has been nominated, seconded. Councillor Batten, yep.
No, I will decline. I would actually probably go to the meetings as an observer, but I don't need to be super organised with notes and minutes, so, but thank you.
Okay, right now we've got one nomination for Councillor Weaver and we've got a second one for Councillor Oldham by Councillor Rawson, seconded by Councillor Nash, is that right? Yeah. Does anybody else wish to nominate? Right, so, no more nominations? So now we've got the same situation. Who would like to be the nominated council rep and then the alternate?
I'd like to be the deputy.
All right, done. All right, happy with that? So Councillor Weaver is the delegate and alternate Councillor Oldham. All happy with that? Yep. Okay, I'll put that. All those in favour? Against? Carried. Well done, everybody.
Council by consensus, isn't
Exactly.
Mr Mayor,
Yes.
just could all of us be given all of the dates of both committees? Because I think a number of us want to attend one or other of the committees as observers.
Absolutely. I'll make sure that Robin's aware of that, and when we get the reminders, councillors will get the reminder.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you.